When I was a young boy, I used to love to go for northern pike because they'd hit my lure so hard and they'd pull so hard. Just a great fight. And one of the guys who taught me how to do that was my dad. We had quite a few kids in my family, as I had 5 brothers and sisters. So instead of having all those lures flying all over the boat when we were casting, oftentimes Dad would spend literally hours rowing us around lakes here in northern Wisconsin, trolling around spoons for northern pike. Not necessarily big ones, but lots of them. So I'm going to repay Dad a little bit for all that rowing. I ain't going to sit here and row all day. What we're going to do is head up the Kasba Lake Lodge in the Northwest Territory and go for some really big monster pike. Because my choices are go for trophy pike or row, go up to Canada or row. I think we're going to go up to Kasba Lake Lodge and show you how to get the next bite.
When someone begins a story with less than 500 miles shy of the Arctic Ocean in the land of the midnight sun, amidst the wilderness of the Northwest Territories, you know right away it's the beginning of a fantasy.
Wah!
But the unbelievable settings surrounding Kasba Lodge and Kasba Lake, not to mention the fishing, turn what could have been fiction into a reality.
That's what I'm talking about. He really gobbled up that swim bait, didn't he? I'll tell you what, we're in the Northwest Territories. If you look at a map, we're way down in the southeast corner of the Northwest Territory in a place called Kasba. We've got an interesting thing going on here. They've had a real late summer, so even though we're here in July, we're finding out that the fish are really all over the place. And the reason for that is the main lake of Kasba is still frozen over, still ice over the top of it. So there's very, very cold water out by the main lake. When you get off of the main lake, though, you can get back in some bays and stuff where it's very warm. So we're having to fish a bunch of different tactics, anywhere from way shallow in the bays all the way out to 3, 4, 5 feet off the breaks. So interesting stuff, lots and lots and lots of fish. We're looking for some big ones. I'm pretty sure me and Dad are gonna find them. We'll put them back in to cruise some more. Ooh, there's a good one.
Got him.
Oh, he's in the weeds big time. Plowing through the weeds. Look at him plow through these weeds.
What is that on his back?
Yeah, I see that too. It's like he's scarred up or something from something. I spotted him. I saw him up in there. Looking down with these sunglasses, you could see him plain as day. Let's see if I can get him. There we go. Look at there. There,
Oh
look at
boy,
that.
what a beauty. Look at that thing.
That's a good one, huh? That's a good one. Threw the swim bait 10 feet in front of him. He took 2 little wags of his tail and just munched it. Yummy, yummy, he said. Nice fish, huh?
Oh boy, that looks like a good picture.
That is one nice Kasba Lake northern pike there.
Hey, terrific.
All right, now I can put him back.
Good fish.
I don't quite understand what happened up here. Something notched him pretty good. There he goes, here he goes. So we've been catching a lot of fish up here, both big and small, on a variety of bait called a swim bait. Basically what a swim bait is a soft plastic body with some kind of an action tail on it, and inside of it is a weighted hook. And the idea behind it is that you can cast this quite a ways, but that slow, action of that tail back there is what's going to draw these fish in. Now there's several varieties of swim baits I've been using, mainly based on the depth of water that I want to cover. For example, this hollow belly has got a real small 1/4 ounce weight in it, so it's going to run fairly high in the water column. So I'm going to use this anywhere from right tight to shore, maybe out to 2 or 3 foot deep. As I get out deeper though, I go to bigger and bigger swim baits. For example, this one has got a little bit bigger weight in it. This great big swim baits has got a pretty good weight. I bet you there's 1.5 ounces of weight in this. The second thing that you can do though is look at your retrieve speed. Obviously all 3 of these baits have weight in them, so the faster you reel, the higher up in the water column the bait will run. The slower you reel, the lower it will drop. It will actually let it sink a little bit deeper. Now the last thing you can look at for where this runs in the water column is your rod tip angle. And I especially use this a lot with this hollow belly here, when I'm fishing up close to shore, real shallow water or around weeds, where I almost want to run this like a surface lure or topwater lure. What you can do there is throw it out there and reel, not real fast, but hold your rod tip real high. That will also hold the bait closer to the surface. So you can do a lot of things with a swim bait. They can cover a lot of water, but if you look at the weight of the swim bait, the speed of your retrieve, and your rod tip angle, that's what's going to put them in the fish zone. So what we're doing here is a little bit of sight fishing. We're actually just moving real slowly along here, actually looking for fish up in these shallow weeds. Only a foot or two of water. And what they're doing is they're cruising in here. We've actually seen some minnows busting the water. And the pike are just laying up in here, and you can see them, they almost look like logs in the water. There are no trees falling down in this bay, so any long shape I see, I assume that it's a pike. And then what we're doing is taking a swim bait and kind of looking the direction they're facing, throwing it about 5, maybe even 10 feet ahead of them, pull the swim bait almost back to them, and if they don't make a move at it, then we just stop and let that swim bait go to the bottom. If they make a move at it, you just keep reeling steady because they're coming and they're going to get it. So kind of a cool way to fish. Real important to have a good pair of polarized sunglasses. I mean, I can literally just see right down in the water and have no problem picking out the long shape that are the pike that we're after.
Wanting to escape the late season ice flow still out on the main lake, Kavajecz and his father Rudy jump onto one of the resort's float planes and fly to one of Kasba's many available outpost lakes, where the water might be a bit more accessible and perhaps warmer. Of course, Keith and Rudy may have just traded one nuisance for another when more than just the northern pike come out for a bite to eat. But any fisherman knows that, especially during certain parts of the season, bugs and fishing can go hand in hand. There's nothing quite like swarms of hungry mosquitoes, but then again, there's nothing quite like swarms of hungry northern pike either.
I think I got a good fish on him. Oh, he's staying down deep, and that's always a good sign.
That's a good sign, yeah.
Near the boat. Oh, he's a good one.
Put a head on that fish.
Yeah, and it's like got that bait sideways in it. I mean, that's
Hammered it from the side.
that's a 9-inch bait, and he's got it right across the
He's
smile.
good. Look at the head on that fish. He's smiling at
You
you.
just got to get him in the boat. I got him. There you go.
Look at that.
I'll tell you what, it's the end of the day. The bugs are just swarming on us, but this is the kind of fish you can get when you come up to Kasba Lake. I mean, it's just a great fishery. Can you grab me that pliers right there, Dad?
Okay,
He's
just
got
a
it right in
second.
the side of his mouth. Let's see if we can just lift that bait straight out. There it is. Man, he wanted it. Look at there. Little fire tiger. Little big tiger.
Nice fish, Keith.
Thank you. That was fun. That was fun. Look at all those mosquitoes around. They're all enjoying the view too. We got to teach northern pike how to eat mosquitoes. Eat mosquitoes.
The real deal. Straight talk to make you a better fisherman. Brought to you by thenextbite.com.
Well, we had a little front moving this morning while we're waiting for that rain to quit. Want to go a little bit over some of the rods and tackle that I'm using to catch pike up here. First setup I wanted to talk about was my heavy duty setup. It's the same rod and reel that I use for muskie fishing, very stiff action. I use this for a lot of the heavier or bigger baits, things like big crankbaits, maybe throwing out a big swim bait like this, stuff that I really want to heave out there, stuff that I'm using out in open water. What I do is use a heavy, like an 80-pound test Invisibraid on here, because that no stretch line is going to let me set the hook even if that fish hits way out at the end of the cast. So this heavy duty equipment is one of the setups. A second setup is almost the opposite. It's a little bit more finessey. I use this a lot of times when I'm up in shallow water, when I'm trying to hit small pockets, be a little bit more precise with my casts, and I'm fishing with sometimes smaller lures. Things like this top prop, or the small hollow belly swim baits that we're using. These lighter lures I don't need that big heavy equipment on. I use a little bit lighter line on this. I go with the 15-pound Invisibraid for this, mainly because I want to be a little bit more finessey. But still no stretch, get a good hook set. The last rod, which is a real good all-around general purpose rod, is going to be spinning gear. You know, go with a little bit heavier stuff maybe than you're used to, because we are catching big fish up here. Medium heavy, 7-foot rod is just about right. Bigger spinning reel on it so you can make long casts. But this is the kind of rod that, like, my dad likes to use. He never really has done a lot of bait cast fishing, so being able to have a spinning rod and be able to still cast it out there a good long ways is a good thing. And you can use just about any lure on this. Spoons, the swim baits, even some of the heavier lures can be thrown with this equipment, so it's real good all around rod and reel. So take a look at those 3 styles of rods and reels. Get yourself some of that no stretch line. Come up here to Kasba and catch a bunch of big pike.
Although fun to catch, northern pike put up quite a fight when they find themselves on the wrong end of a meal. Their serrated, toothy mouths are second only to their powerful scissor-like jaws.
Try and get this out of here without adding more bandages to my fingers.
Which can do some major damage to your lure, depending on what you are casting, especially at the frequency of the bite that Keith and Rudy Kavajecz have going in the warming back bays of Kasba
I just saw
Lake.
that big old mouth come up and just wail on it. Its mouth was as big as a softball.
I like the color of that one.
Yeah,
it's
it's
nice
kinda,
dark color.
kind of a light head and a dark body on
Right.
it.
Oh man, is that a beauty?
Look at here. Look at that fish. Look at this one. That's a nice fish.
That is a nice one.
It's got to be close to 40 inches.
Oh man, is that a beauty?
We got to get you one of these.
I guess so.
It's only in about 2 feet of water. And just a huge wake come up behind it. Just smacked it good. He's got a real yellow head on him, huh?
It sure does.
And just really fun because I got to see the whole thing just happening right in front of me. That was cool. One of our best lures up here for this trip was the Berkeley's hollow belly swim bait. It's a 6-inch version. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about was some different ways to rig this and show you the way that I like to rig this the best. This is a common way. Basically what you do is you take the hook, you drive it up through the bottom of the swim bait and push it out the nose, and then you kind of measure up where that hook is going to go through and bury it right through the body. The idea on all of these is to get that swim bait looking as straight as possible and for that weight and the hooks to all be down the center. But you've got a little bit of an exposed hook here. This might be a good way to run it in a lot of weeds. Another similar way to run it, I'm using here a hook that Mustad makes. It's actually got a little keeper on the end of it. And that keeper simply pushes right into the nose of the bait. And then again, you string the hook up through the back of the bait, keeping it very straight, keeping it right down the center. So that's the second way to rig it. Now, the thing about these 2 ways of rigging it that I've found up here is they're not real durable. You know, 2-3 pike hit these, the noses get all tore up, it just doesn't stick together real good. Catch so many pike up here, the way I rig them is to actually embed the weight in the swim bait. So what I'm going to do is look at this swim bait a little bit and kind of decide how I want that hook running in there. Then I'm going to simply go right through the nose with the hook so that again it's going to run nice and straight. All right, push it through and I'm going to simply embed that weight right into the nose of that swim bait. You actually got to push it in there, but once you do it once, what I found is that holds that swim bait in there real good. Again, you got a much more exposed hook, so I really like this when I'm out in the open water, but that's the way I like to hook it up. All of them are going to catch fish. I just think this one's a little bit more durable.
Hot topics, leading edge gear, techniques, and information to make you #1 on the water. Brought to you by Mercury.
This quite possibly could be the best nightcrawler spinner setup in the world. Now, why would that be? The holographic blade? The holographic body? No. The quick change clevis? No, they've been around for a while. It's the hook. The secret's in the hook. Many of you remember a couple of years ago I designed a hook for Mustad called the slow death hook. But what many didn't know is at the same time I've been designing the ultimate weapon in live bait hooks. And what we have here is a hook built on a wide gap technology, just like wide gap jigs. Extremely successful, good fish catchers. And essentially what happened is we ended up with a hook that from the point to the shank is about 20% wider than any other hook out there. It gives you a lot of attributes, but at the same time, after a lot of experimentation, I've shortened the shank up on the hook. Mustad gave me a lot of freedom in the design of this. Now, what does that short shank wide gap give you? Well, when a walleye bites and you set the hook, it develops a cam action between the short shank and the wide gap. It drives the point of the hook into the roof of the fish's mouth. We've never really had a setup like this before. So you're going to find that you're going to lose many fewer fish. And we all know that with nightcrawler harnesses especially, that's a real tough problem to overcome. Now, the other thing about this hook that's really cool is it's built on a real thin diameter wire, which means it's very lightweight, but it's extremely strong. But the lightweight gives you the capability of having a better movement with your live bait. So for your riggers, and who would like to use leeches and crawlers and minnows and get the best natural action possible, this is the ultimate hook. So we've got a hook that crosses all barriers. There's really no competition out there. Just like with the slow death hook, there's a new mousetrap in town. It's called the double wide, and it's going to catch a lot of fish for you.
Well, Keith Kavajecz wanted to bring his father, Rudy, to Kasba Lake for a trip to remember and to say thanks for getting him started in his northern pike fishing as a boy. And even with as many fish as Keith and Rudy have caught, some of those timeless and wise dad philosophies still find a way to shine through all the action.
Like I said before, any fish is a good fish.
But up in the Northwest Territories of Canada, any fish also has the potential to be the fish of a lifetime.
I think I got
I guess it's a good one.
I think I got the biggest
here it
one
is.
of my life now.
Look at that big, oh, is that a
Isn't
monster?
that a beauty?
Man, it's kind of a nasty day up here, but boy.
Doesn't want to come in. Hey, come on.
Well, you
We
didn't
don't
get
wanna
big
lose.
like that for being dumb. I
Hey,
mean,
we don't want to lose this one.
no, we aren't going to lose them. We ain't going to lose them. Nice back reeling there.
He's coming in.
Is this a big fish? Unbelievable.
Oh boy, look at
We're
him.
going to be in shore in a second, but that's all right. All right, I'm going to try and grab him. Hold on, Dad, hold on.
Okay.
I got him, Dad.
Hey, look at that one.
Look at
Holy
that.
mackerel.
That is
Boy,
a
is that a
monster.
fish, huh?
Unbelievable fish, Dad.
What a beauty.
Judging by Rudy's smile, it looks like Keith more than succeeded in giving his dad something to remember, as Rudy once did with Keith when rowing him around for hours as a kid to catch northern pike.
That is
What?
truly
Yeah.
a great fish. You come up here a long way, and I mean, we have pounded fish up here, just pounded them. And we've got some decent ones, but man, a fish like that,
That's
like you
my-
said, for you, a fish of a lifetime.
That's
I mean,
the record of a lifetime.
It would also seem that, like his dad, Keith has since developed a few philosophies of his own to share.
I tell you what, it sure beats rowing. University of Wisconsin Eau Claire rowing team. Of course, I was the guy up in front going, stroke, stroke. All right, we're up here at Kasba Lake, and I think I found a new hot spot. The water's a little warmer than most of the lake, but it is the right depth. It's about 2.5 feet deep. Gin clear water, though, so I'm using very natural-looking colors. A little wood structure in here. I'm using the Berkeley swim bait right now. I'm hoping that'll be the right thing. If it's not, we'll switch up a little, but I'll keep you informed. I know this is going to be good, though. This is really, I tell you what, I'm going to take my Motor Guide electric trolling motor and my 300 horse Verado. They can have this rowing. Jeez, can't believe you did this all day.
The Next Bite would like to thank the warm and gracious staff of Kasba Lake Lodge. For more information on this unforgettable fly-in resort and its trophy northern pike, giant trout, and grayling fishing opportunities, please visit their website at kasba.com or contact them at the numbers listed below.